Alright, the other day I watched Hancock for the first time. It was pretty wild, and I enjoyed it, so as always, I'm making a video on it. The movie opens up with a gang fleeing from the cops while blasting out the window. We then jump to our main character, John Hancock, who I'll be referring to as just John. He's absolutely sloshed and slumped on a public bench, and a little kid wakes him up and points out the police chase on the freeway. John tells the kid to get up out of his face, and then he takes off and flies around the city with the bottle in his hand.
Shit, if I do it.
It's no hen dog, but I'm sure it gets the job done. He gets to the freeway and destroys one of the overhead signs, which results in multiple cop cars getting absolutely smashed. He gets to the car, rips the back off, and pops a squat to chill for a minute. He tells them to pull over and give themselves up, but they don't listen and light him up, which does nothing, and they knew it'd do nothing, so I don't know why they did that. But unfortunately for them, they shattered his bottle, so he's a little upsetty spaghetti, so he slams his feet through the car to stop it. He then picks the car up and throws them around a little bit while smacking them into buildings before dropping them onto whatever this thing is. He then goes to a bar and watches the news on how he pretty much f***ed everything up while trying to save the day. A group of girls then walk in, and one approaches John, and basically, she just wants a seat on that super meat. I'm gonna keep it a stack. They go back to John's place to get active, but alright, how do I say this? When he reaches the top of the mountain, he has to push her off because it shoots straight through the roof of his crib. This obviously freaks the girl out, so she pulls a Brian O'Connor and sneaks out through the bathroom, which makes John feel kind of bad about himself. We then cut to a dude named Ray. He's trying to convince rich people to give their products away for free to help people, and obviously this doesn't work. So we cut to him walking away all sad. On his way home, there's a lot of traffic, and so he gets caught on a train track with the train coming in hot. Ray freaks out and he can't get out in time, but luckily John comes in and throws his car out the way and smashes into the train, which brings it to a stop, but it also derails the whole thing. Everyone's pissed that John didn't just grab Ray's car and simply fly up with it, or move it out the way and just not smack the train, which, is fair to say. A lady also complains that he smells of alcohol.
And I can smell that liquor on your breath.
I've been drinking, bitch.
I love that line. Anyways, Ray gets out of his car and defends and thanks John for saving his life. And John's kind of surprised because no one thanks him because everyone thinks he's a piece of shit. But since Ray doesn't have a car anymore, John gives him a lift home and we meet Ray's family. We meet his son Aaron, who's John's #1 fan, and we also meet, good lord,
I'm about to bust.
we also meet Ray's wife, who's an absolute dime piece played by Charlize Theron. Before John can leave, Ray invites him in to grub despite his wife's reluctance. They sit down to eat and John is sneaking drinks as well as cussing around Aaron, which pisses off Mary. And before John leaves, he pranks Aaron.
Hey, all right, little buddy.
Ray tells John that he works in public relations and he thinks he can help his reputation since everyone thinks he's an asshole, so he gives him his card before he leaves. Later that night, Ray and Mary talk about this decision to try and help John. Mary doesn't like the idea, but Ray thinks John could actually help the world with some guidance. And John hears all this while low-key creeping on the roof. The next day, John thinks about the offer and decides it's for the best. He flies in a little hot to Ray's street, but turns around when this kid calls him an asshole. Fun fact, this is the same kid that played Michael Myers in that Rob Zombie remake. Anyways, the word asshole is like a trigger word for John, so he turns around and is like, yo, what's good? John tries to defuse the situation, but this kid continues to call the invincible, hot-headed hero with super strength an asshole. Not a very smart decision. He's like, say that shit one more time. And the kid does. So he throws him 1,000 feet into the air. Unfortunately, Ray comes out to greet John right as the kid is falling back down.
Not okay.
Ray shows John his lowlights, like pushing through kids while on fire to get ice cream and throwing a beached whale into a ship.
I don't even remember that.
Ray gives him the "you can do better" speech, and then his wife comes home and turns the news on, which shows there's a warrant out for Hancock's arrest. Obviously, John's not about to just turn himself in, but Ray convinces him that this could actually be good for him, because while he's in jail, the crime rate will go up and the people will realize they need John's help. So the next day, he gives a half-assed speech about how he's going to do better, and then he turns himself in. It's like his first day in here, and as he's trying to walk to his cell, everyone in this prison decides it's a good idea to try and press up on Black Superman. He tries to warn them that if they don't get out the way, he's gonna fuck them up, but they still don't get out the way, which is crazy. So he shoves the dude's head up the other dude's back end. We cut to John talking to Ray about the incident, and he also tells John that the DA wants his sentence to run 8 years. And before Ray can finish talking, John is like, 8 years? F that. He casually walks through the door to dip out, but Ray stops him with another bro-to-bro talk and tells him that the police will probably need him sometime soon, so just chill out and stay here. So John decides to stay. He starts going to his therapy sessions but refuses to speak. Ray coaches him up on how to be a good hero by giving him tips like telling the police officers they're doing a good job, when you land, don't destroy the ground and the things around you, and be a good person. And during yard time, he's showing everyone up by making threes from like 40 yards away. And we also see on the news that the crime rate is already up 30% since John has been in prison. The next day, Mary and Aaron bring him some spaghetti, and Mary tells him that Ray really sees something in him, so don't f this up. And then they leave. After this, he actually starts to improve. He starts talking at the sessions, he reflects on his life in his cell, and Ray gives him a suit for when they call and the police need his help. The next day, a ball flies out of the prison, so John goes to get it, and the alarms are set off. And it looks like John's about to bust out of prison and bounce the out of there, but he makes the decision to fly back, showing how far he's actually come. Luckily, this all pays off when one night an officer wakes John up and tells him that the chief of police needs his help with a bank robbery / hostage situation. He pulls up to the scene with a clean landing without wrecking everything, and the chief gives him the rundown on what's going on. He's told there's multiple armed men with hostages and high caliber weapons, and one officer is pinned down. John starts walking over to the officer who's pinned down, and the bullets are just bouncing off of him. He gets to the officer and awkwardly asks her if he has permission to touch her body in a non-sexual way.
Do I have permission to touch your body?
And the lady's like, yo, just get me the fuck out of here. So he uses the car as a shield and walks her to safety. Earlier they said they're using like 50 caliber rounds. Don't know how they're not getting through the car, but whatever. After getting the lady to safety, the chief tells Hancock to end this now. He flies around the building and speed blitzes the men on some Brightburn shit until there's just one dude left. John confronts the man, but the man says if his finger comes off the trigger, the hostages will get packed up. He then tells John to break into the vault and grab the cash for him. But unfortunately, he also calls John an asshole. So he grabs the top of this lamp thing, sharpens it with his fingers, and takes the dude's hand and walks out after saving everyone. When he gets outside, everyone cheers for him, and you can see he gets a little teed up because no one's actually cheered for him before. He even has to slap on the shades to hide the tears before flying off. Later that night, Ray, Mary, and John all go out to a fancy restaurant to eat, and everyone cheers for John because he's a hero now. While they eat, we get a little lore on everyone. Ray tells John he was married before, but his wife passed while giving birth to Aaron, and then while at a grocery store, lo and behold, Mary was there, and they've been solid ever since. Then Ray's like, what about you? Aren't you from a different planet?
Nah, man, I'm from Miami.
Alright, John tells them that the last thing he remembers is waking up in a hospital. The doctors told him he had a fractured skull from trying to stop a robbery, but he doesn't remember anything before that because of amnesia from the head injury. And then his skull healed up instantly, and then boom, he was immortal. And he says this all happened like 80 years ago because he doesn't age. Pretty strange, but alright. What's also strange is Mary crying when he tells this story. He adds that he felt sad that no one was there for him, and Mary looks at him and says, I'm sorry. John's like, don't trip, you didn't do anything, but something's up with Mary. We just don't know what yet. John carries Ray to his room so he can catch some Z's, and downstairs John and Mary cross paths. She notices a bruise on John's hand, which is odd considering he's invincible, but they kind of brush it off. And then they start to get suspiciously close and things aren't looking good. Boom. Mary cheats on her husband.
You're a f***ing You're a
But while cheating, she throws John through a wall and into a car, revealing that she has powers too. This is where the movie low-key kind of goes downhill for me. She comes out and she's like, if you tell Ray about this, I'll pack you up. The next day, Ray comes down and sees the massive hole in the wall, but Mary's like, don't worry about that, John just sneezed last night. She then also pushes the idea of taking a vacation to the other side of the world, like that day, like right now. But this is interrupted when John pulls up, and Mary's like, oh, I was just telling Ray about how you sneezed the wall away.
I don't think our house could take much more of your sneezing.
And John's like, ah, right. Ray then gets a call, and so when he walks away, John starts testing Mary's durability with a fork that just breaks on her skin, then a rolling pin that breaks on her head, and before he can clap her with a couple of pans, Mary turns around and is like, alright, fine, we'll talk as long as you leave after. John's like, bet, my place, 4 o'clock, be there or be square. Mary pulls up to his place looking like a female version of Roderick Heffley, and John starts asking his questions. He asks her if they're the same, but she tells him no, she's stronger, but then follows up with saying they're the last two of their kind, so they are the same. He also wants to know what they are to each other, and she tells him that they're brother and sister.
We're brother and sister.
Which is a crazy thing to say when she was clearly trying to get hogged out by him like a day ago, but luckily, she's lying. And since she's lying, John tells her that he's gonna go tell Ray and flies off, and so Mary chases him. They crash land into a random street, and Mary starts going on this rant talking about, we're not doing this again, I've put up with you for 3,000 years and you always ruin it. And it's like, bro, you know he has no memory of any of this. So yapping about all this when he has no memory of it is just not helping. John calls her crazy, and I guess that's her trigger word because she grabs a truck and smacks him with it. And while this is happening, Ray is again trying to pitch his make the world better thing, and again, it's not working. But they look outside and see a massive storm brewing. So I guess Mary has like storm powers on top of her other abilities. I don't know. But they start scrapping, flying into shit, hitting each other, and eventually they tear up the building that Ray's in. And when they land on the ground, Ray sees them fighting and talking to each other. And when they look over, they see Ray. And Ray sees them see him see them. Ray goes home and is greeted by Mary and John. Mary tells Ray that she has powers, and she also drops the bomb that John was her husband a long time ago. They yap about this, but are we going to ignore the fact that she was cheating? Ex-husband or not, you got a new man, so locking lips with another dude while your man's sleeping upstairs is crazy work. Anyways, they all split ways to try and cool off, and John pulls up to the liquor store. While checking out, the cashier gives John a sign that he's being robbed, so he breaks through the wall and throws the guy into next week. The other guy grabs the cashier, so John turns around and grabs a candy bar, and beams it at his forehead but eats a bullet in the process. Luckily, he's invincible. Oh damn, never mind, how the f did that happen? He gets rushed to a hospital and Mary visits him. She tells him that the longer they're close together, the more mortal they become. So I guess that explains why she was all spastic earlier, but like, why the f didn't she just say that in the first place? Or, better idea, when John wanted to talk about her having powers, why wasn't she just like, yeah, no problem, I'll call you in 10. And so she could explain this to him from a distance so they're both safe. But, whatever. She tells him he needs to leave so he can get his powers back, even though she could just leave considering she's perfectly fine. But again, we'll just ignore this. She also tells him that the reason he doesn't remember shit is because they were together, so they were mortal. And while they were mortal, he got jumped in an alleyway, so he lost all his memories. And so to keep them both safe, she just dipped out. And while this happens, Aaron and Ray arrive at the hospital, and the gang who robbed the bank earlier are here for revenge after breaking out of prison. They pull up to take out John, but Mary steps in the way and gets blasted. John still has his strength though, so he uses the bed to absolutely beam them. He grabs Mary and walks through a couple of walls to get her to safety, and then he finds one of the guys involved and throws him out the window. Two more show up, and so he throws a wheelchair at him. He then uses a vending machine to cover up Ray and Aaron, and then he goes on a rampage. This guy gets cooked. This guy's probably done for. This guy might need some Tylenol. But eventually one guy catches him off guard and stabs him in the back and smacks him in the lips with this thing a few times. He starts choking him out, but gets grabbed by the dick and thrown out the window. And while all this is happening, Mary's struggling hard. And each time John was hurt, she felt his pain, so I guess they're connected in some way. While walking away, John gets shot in the back by the dude with the hook hand. He starts talking a little shit while continuing to shoot him until John falls to the ground. But Ray comes in and takes Bro's other hand with an axe and then gives him one more for good measure. But John and Mary both look cooked, and it looks like it might be over. But John gets a second wind to get up and he jumps out the window. He lands on the ground, which somehow doesn't pack him up, and he moves himself further and further away, which slowly brings Mary back to life with each jump, until he's able to actually fly away, which brings her back to life. We then jump to 1 month later and everyone's chilling at a carnival. Ray gets a call from John and tells him to look up. He looks up and sees the moon is covered with his make the world better heart symbol. Don't know how he got it up there, but who cares, it's a beautiful moment. Ray's happy with his family, and John's a solid hero now. Yeah, that was Hancock. She wasn't perfect, I didn't like the twist, I liked it better when he was working to become a better person, but overall, I enjoyed it. Also, I just started a Patreon. I'm going to be posting extra content on there when I can, and you guys can also vote on what videos you want me to do next. It also just helps me out, so go check that out. I'll have the link in the description. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Check out the Patreon, but that's all I've got for you guys today, so I'll see you in the next one.